the sisters in Beulah Baptist Church who can testify that I'm that girl? Where are the African American women around the sanctuary who can testify I am the living testimony of what it means to be black girl magic?
A powerful Zoom call where over 164,000 white women broke Zoom and raised over $8.5 million. Solomon's example, and black girl magic.
See, we had to live under that. Then we found out that that's not the case. But we've gone too far with the correction. Now with the correction, we preach like our blackness is something magic. Our blackness is some kind of edge. Yeah, you know, black girl magic. Go on with that. Go on with that. That's not right. Because first of all, you're not a witch. And see, you don't want no magic anyway. See, you don't want magic anyway. You want holiness. You want favor.
Buckle up. For the next 14 some odd weeks, you're going to see all kind of videos coming from black churches, from these church plants, as I call them, tap dancing, celebrating the fact that Kamala Harris is the Democratic candidate for president. That is historic. That is once in a lifetime, once in a generation. Kamala Harris, the black girl who's not really black, is the Democratic candidate for president. And the sad part about it is these black pastors are blinded by blackness, blinded by black girl magic. It is so true what Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians chapter 4 in verses 3 and 4. How the God of this world has blinded the minds of those who do not believe, lest the light of the glorious gospel will shine on them. Acts 17:26 talks about how from one blood, God has created all men and has established their boundaries and their dwellings. One blood. We are one race, the human race. We have different ethnicities, different ethnos, but we are one race. But yet, the number that has been done on black people is astounding. And that number, that game, that trick was done from white people, yes, but it has been perpetuated. It's very similar to what Willie Lynch wrote in his letter. This thing has been passed down from generations to generations. And because of what has happened in the past, now the black liberation folks have overcorrected to now blackness is some kind of edge that we have on white people. And especially now that we have a brown woman running for president.
On Kamala becoming the presidential nominee, I'm going to confess, I wasn't too happy about that. But I'm all in now. I'm 100% now for this reason. This representative from Tennessee, sorry Connie, from Tennessee, he called her a DEI candidate. And then they start calling her colored. Then they start calling her out of her name. And as a black man, I can't let no white man talk about no sister like that. And I not take offense to it. Because who is more disqualified than Donald Trump? And Republicans are all in because he is the avatar for their grievance. How qualified does a black person have to be? Graduated at the top of her class at Howard, went to law school, was Attorney General of a state, a United States Senator, a Vice President of the United States, but she's not qualified? I'm all in. Because I'm not going to let any white man tell me how I ought to feel about a black person. Stony the road we've trod.
Anybody else excited besides me about the historic campaign of Vice President Kamala Harris? Y'all, we have to get out to the polls and vote on Tuesday. Y'all not clapping good enough for me. There's a black woman in this country who is the presidential nominee for the Democratic National. Everybody ought to be clapping their hands. I'm looking for some sisters in this sanctuary this morning who can testify like Sha'Carri Richardson that I'm not back, but I'm better. The enemy hit me with his best shot, and even though I had to go the long way, my testimony is I'm that girl. Where are the sisters in Beulah Baptist Church who can testify that I'm that girl? Where are the African American women around the sanctuary who can testify I am the living testimony of what it means to be black girl magic? I'm looking for some sisters in this room today who can testify that I ain't a snack because I'm the whole meal. I'm that girl. And if you can't shout over Sha'Carri Richardson, watch this. Would you at least shout over Kamala Harris because she's had to serve alongside a white man for the last 4 years, and some people thought that she was going to be overlooked to become president. But this morning, Beulah Baptist Church is able to celebrate that a black woman is going to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. Because just because your dreams are denied does not mean that your dreams will not come to pass. I'm looking for somebody who can testify that I'm that girl. Would you shout this morning for Sha'Carri Richardson that even though my dreams have been delayed, it doesn't mean that my dreams are denied? Would you shout this morning for Kamala Harris that even though your dreams may be delayed, that doesn't mean that your dreams are denied?
President Biden stepped down on Sunday. There were concerns that Democratic insiders and liberal media might push to replace Vice President Harris. And it ignited a powerful response. What a difference a day makes. What began with 4,000 black women rapidly grew into a formidable force of 44,000 on Zoom. They quickly raised $1.5 million, leading to a record $100 million donated in just 24 hours. 62% of that coming from first-time contributors. This surge then generated 100,000 new volunteers and 40,000 new registered voters. And by Monday evening, Harris had secured commitments from over 2,200 delegates, well above the 1,975 needed for her nomination. Yeah, but it didn't stop there. Inspired by our sisters, independent Zoom calls last week began with our brothers. Let's hear it for the brothers. It expanded to include South Asians and queer individuals and Latinas and Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders, all mobilizing to generate significant funds and volunteers for Harris. And then, oh my God, this momentum culminated Thursday night with a powerful Zoom call where over 164,000 white women broke Zoom and raised over $8.5 million. Solomon's example, and black girl magic reveal that when we are rooted in justice and act in the urgency of now, we can overcome obstacles, flip the script, and ignite real change.
I wanted to play you all of those videos to show you these pastors who are not standing on biblical values when it comes to supporting Kamala Harris. And it must be nice. I've said this in a previous video. It must be nice to stand in the pulpit and actively and publicly campaign for a candidate. You're not supposed to be able to do that in the church. I thought there was supposed to be a separation of church and state. But again, it only applies to those who do not toe the government line, who do not agree with the liberal and the Marxists and the communists that run the government. If you agree with their positions, you're good to go. You can say whatever you want in the pulpit. But see, these people are using Blackness to justify why they are voting for Kamala Harris. Like that pastor, the first one, down in Houston, saying that some white man said that Kamala Harris was a DEI candidate and that he's not going to let no white man tell him how to feel about a black woman. See, as a Christian, you're supposed to, first of all, see yourself as a Christian first, not as a black man first. And that's the problem with these black churches. And that's why a number of black people are leaving these black churches, because they're not preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. They are preaching another gospel. This social justice, black liberation gospel stuff is what they're preaching. And this stuff does not lead to salvation. It does not lead to salvation. The wrath of man does not produce the righteousness of God. It does not. Your wrath does not produce the righteousness of God. All you're doing is stirring up more and more hatred, more and more division. You're playing into the hands of those who want to destroy this land. But because you're blinded by blackness, because you're blinded by black girl magic, you will not see that. You will not see that. That's why I call them church plants, because they intentionally sabotage the black community with this stuff. And black people will never, ever, 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 ever achieve going to churches like that. I'm glad to see there are at least one pastor who's still preaching the gospel.
You got to pay attention to what people are for. Please, please, I beg of you, let your last consideration be the complexion of anybody. Let your last consideration be the gender of anybody. Please find out what they're for.
But they won't. These church plant pastors and the majority of people supporting Kamala Harris have no idea what her policies are. But only the fact that she has brown skin and is a woman, they're going to vote for her. How demeaning is that? That shows a lack of intelligence. That shows you are blinded by blackness and by this black girl magic.
And what they're against. Don't be dumb. The dummy says, white or black, so-and-so is my color. They got my vote. The dummy says, so-and-so is my sex. They have my vote. That's the dummy. The smart person says, regardless to who it is, let me do my homework. Since my vote is sacred, since my vote is mine, let me cast it. Let me cast it in a manner where it represents me and what I believe and what I'm for. Please do that. If you do that, God will be pleased. Let it represent my relationship with God. For a long time, we believed that our blackness was a curse. That's what they told us. Said the Lord cursed Ham. And Ham was the father of black folk. And the curse is that it turned them dark. When everybody who was living was dark, was brown. There were no white people in Noah's day. It doesn't cover that area. If you look at the geographics, just geographically, everybody was brown. Now, they wasn't African American. Don't
For those of you who are black Hebrew Israelites, they were not African American, okay?
misunderstand me. But they were brown. Ham didn't turn brown because of that. Our complexion is not the result of a curse. Do you know what we had to go through all those years thinking that there's something wrong? There's something wrong with our blackness. There's something wrong. Look at him. He's black. And then, boy, listen, they did a job on us, because the moment one black person fall out with another, we start out the argument with, you're black. Somebody called somebody a black so-and-so the other day, didn't you? You're just a black, you're a black. We ain't gotten over it yet. For years. See, you white folk who are here today, thank God for everyone there, but you can't relate to this. It didn't happen to you. I see it now. I can go into the drugstore now. I know the codes. Come over the loudspeaker. Aisle 3.
I know the codes, and if you go to certain grocery stores or certain department stores in certain parts of the city, it's funny how you notice that you have these doors over certain products, and that you have to get the associate to come and open that for you, or if you open it, a noise goes off. Now, I could go to the same department store on the other side of town, and I don't see that. Now, they may say I have reason for that because we have a lot of theft. True. But the implication is people in the inner city, people in communities that are predominantly black, are thieves, or there to cause the store harm.
Now I'm standing there dressed up. Yeah, I mean, you don't come to steal looking like this. Because whatever they got in the store, you can afford it. I come to buy. People see you're just such indignities. They just clutch their purse. I was on the elevator the other day, a little white lady. It was so funny. Me and some of the armor bearers, we were out of town. I'm going to preach in just a minute. So the lady, she was on the elevator. 3 big black men going up to the floors. And I was thinking to myself, you don't know, but you're as safe with us as you would be with your father, your brother, your parents, because we love Jesus and we mean you no harm. We wouldn't take your purse, we wouldn't rape you, we wouldn't take a dime from you, we wouldn't harm you. If anything, we'd protect you. But she's standing there shaking, and shaking because of our complexion. Because it couldn't have been because of our, the way we look, because we all had on suits. I think sometimes I'm a little bit too honest when I preach. I bring things up. See, we had to live under that. Then we found out that that's not the case. But we've gone too far with the correction. Now with the correction, we preach like our blackness is something magic. Our blackness is some kind of edge. Yeah, you know, black girl magic. Go on with that. Go on with that. That's not right. Because first of all, you're not a witch. And see, you don't want no magic anyway. See, you don't want magic anyway. You want holiness. You want favor. We are no better and we're no worse. From one blood have God made all people to dwell on the face of this earth.
That's the problem with these church plant pastors and churches, these black liberation churches. They've gone too far. They've overcorrected to the point to where they really think that their blackness gives them an edge, that their blackness is some kind of magic. Like the bishop said, you don't want any magic if you're a Christian. That's witchcraft. That's operating in the occult. You want holiness. You want sanctification. You want the power of God to operate in your life. The power of God will not operate in your life if you have idols. And blackness has become an idol, a stumbling block, a stronghold for so many black Americans who call themselves Christians. It is the greatest stronghold in the black community by far. The idea that your blackness is greater than your relationship with Jesus keeps the black community in bondage. And the people that use that against black folks know this because they want to drive Jesus. They want to drive the real gospel out of the black community so they can continue to control and destroy it. They want black people to remain victims so they can serve the needs of the state and the needs of the black bougie elite. We must wake up to that. We must take off the blinders on our eyes and recognize what is really going on. We can't buy into this black girl magic, this magic of being black. There's no magic in that, but there's power in Jesus. Because we're not victims. We are empowered for greatness.